professor, I will test you in the worst way. Don't bring a Scantron, pop quizzes all day. Cause of our chemistry, we do biology.
What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscriber died trying. You see the thumbnail. Are we like fleas and elephants? So this is that old experiment, the flea experiment. You get fleas, you put them in a jar, you close the lid on the jar. Because if you put them in a jar, they'll jump out of the jar. You close the lid on the jar, you leave the jar for a few days, and you open the lid, open the jar, and the fleas will never jump out of the jar because now they've got accustomed to, because they kept trying to jump out and basically hitting the top of the jar. So now they only jump, to the right under the where the top was. So then they'll have kids that subsequently won't jump out of the jar. Same thing is the old thing about elephants. You get a baby elephant. When it's little, you put a stake in the ground or tie it to a little tree, and the baby elephant it can't pull a tree out of the ground even if it wants to go. So as that baby elephant grows and grows and grows and becomes big, you put a rope around it and basically leash it to a tree or a stake, and the elephant won't move because they've been accustomed to not being able to move that tree or that stake, right? Even though at a certain point they have the ability to yank all that stuff out of the ground. You have to actually teach them that. So I was thinking about, people, American society, and we try to say human beings are different than animals, right? But if you have a dog or a cat, if you have any kind of pet, you have to basically train your pet to your environment. And when you train them to your environment, guess what? They can't survive in their natural habitat anymore. So when we act like people aren't like that, that kind of, gets my spidey senses up, because even when we talk about this racial stuff, I don't understand why you can't do this and that. It's funny because you can understand the jar and the flea. You can understand the elephant. You can understand, your pet, but you can't understand if you can break a human being's mind and they won't be able to function in the way that you think they should function. Same way if you got a person who goes to jail for a long period of time, they're institutionalized. Even if they become functional enough in society to be functional, they're still screwed up because everything that the world that they're accustomed to is not the world that they're living in. You know what I'm saying? So when we say, these people need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, if you steal somebody's boots, if you steal their boots for their whole lives, and then you steal their kids' boots for their whole lives, and you steal their kids' boots for their whole lives, and they don't even know what boots are. And all you can say, and you just pass down the line, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And the family got a closet of, hundreds of pairs of other people's boots. It's like, what are you talking about? And subsequently, it's the same thing in reverse, where I think people have an issue with the racial dynamics or even the class dynamics, whatever you want to call it, when you have a group of people accustomed to sabotaging another group of people for their own profit. That's their norm. So they see nothing wrong with it. Just like the flea sees nothing wrong with not jumping out of the jar anymore, and the elephant sees nothing wrong with not pulling the tree out of the root or the stake out of the ground, and people, are stuck in their own quote-unquote ways and culture. People are stuck in the same way of, you know what? That's what we do. We steal your futures. So nothing's wrong with that. It's a God-given right. It's the crazy delusion. Crazy delusion, right? And when I say, people are like fleas and elephants, is it's really an issue. Because like the other thing, and if you ever watched that the series Blackfish, it was like a documentary on orcas or killer whales at SeaWorld. They stole them from from captivity, from the wild, stole babies normally from their parents, you know, and brought them to SeaWorld. And when you bring them into that habitat, now they're not free. You're feeding them, you're doing tricks, you're training them, and they had their fin, which used to stand up, and now it just leans and droops because you basically broke them. But every now and then, kill a whale and go kill a whale and kill one of these fools, right? And then it's like, oh my God, what happened to the killer whale? I can't believe it. It's not cute anymore. And it's like, maybe it wasn't what you think is cute is putting something in an unnatural habitat for your entertainment. And every now and then when it snaps because it doesn't like it becomes the villain. And not you who came up with a whole plan to sabotage this thing's life. And I say that, the same thing about animals, insects, it's the same premise with people. But the interesting thing about it is if you come from a different place, you don't get it. And I'm gonna talk about that in another one. So, tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe, or die. Try and catch y'all on the next one. Well, hold up, player, because I ain't doing this right. Catch y'all on the next one.